Hi, my name is Taylin Cadwallader. I will be doing my speech on my favorite childhood movie, the 2000s live-action Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The 2000 live-action How the Grinch Stole Christmas, starring Jim Carrey as the Grinch, directed by Ron Howard and written by Jeffrey Price and Peter S. Seaman, was originally a children's book written by Dr. Seuss in 1957. Has by far been my favorite movie since as early as I can remember, which makes sense since the movie came out in the year that I was born. The Grinch had a lot of time, money, and effort put into the making of it, with the movie costing $123 million to make. The opening scene alone had 40,000 computer-generated trees, and the crew created 11 sound stages that have been turned into the snowy Christmas world of Whoville. Audrey Giselle, who is Dr. Seuss's wife, was signed to the movie and removed any adult humor from the movie's scripts and had say over all of the scripts that had been created. There were 8 of them in total. The cast includes some pretty popular people, including Jim Carrey, who is popular for movies such as The Mask, and Christina Barninski, who starred in Mamma Mia, and for her breakout role, Taylor Momsen, who played Cindy Lou Who, who you may know from shows such as Gossip Girl. The cast members and extras had to put a lot of work into it, including going to Who School, a school created just for the movie, where they learned the correct ways to talk and move their bodies. On top of that, all of the extras in the movie were trained circus members. The special effects makeup creator, Rick Baker, had created 6 different makeup looks to test out for the Grinch costume, and even tried out just a full face of green face paint because with Jim Carrey's hefty price tag of $20 million per movie, they were worried people wouldn't recognize him. The Grinch's final makeup look took 8 hours to apply. This included yak fur dyed green and glued to a suit that was such an awful experience that Jim Carrey had to undergo torture endurance training to even be able to wear it. The directors decided that he wanted to do a screening for the Grinch's costume with one of the crew's children and their friends to see if they could spot which Grinch was Jim Carrey in the final costume. The children were brought in and watched different Grinches, but once they witnessed Jim Carrey start to walk and talk, they knew it was him immediately, ultimately landing on the iconic Grinch that we know today. Luckily, the money, hours, and training weren't put to waste, ultimately landing on an award for the movie with the best hair and makeup in 2000s. Which makes sense since it's been estimated that it's the first movie in 60 years to have the whole cast and extras in full hair, makeup, and costumes since The Wizard of Oz. The live-action Grinch is super important to me. The Grinch was my comfort show growing up and was my go-to movie, so much so that even in the summer I'd be sitting on the floor of my grandma's living room in front of the TV and would watch The Grinch on repeat. I ended up watching it so much so I wore through the tape of the VHS and cried because we had to get a new one. The Grinch was a part of my everyday life. The movie was on every day to the point that even my grandma said that she knew all the lines to the movie. She heard it so much. She told me that I would sit on the floor and sing the songs and repeat the movie as it went along. Honestly, I can remember quite a bit of the lines even now without the movie playing. The movie had such a big impact on me that I would argue with people about which Grinch was the best growing up. I remember the first time I watched the cartoon Grinch, and boy was I not happy. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and my Nana had dropped me off at her friend's house, my Auntie Allie, for our weekly visit. Before we left, I asked my Nana if my Auntie Allie owned the Grinch, and my Nana told me she probably does, which made me super excited. After we arrived, I asked if I could watch the Grinch, and was told yes. I waited as my Auntie Allie went to get the VHS from the cupboard and put the VHS in the player. After we sat down and the movie started to play, I knew immediately that it wasn't the right movie. I told my Auntie Allie that this isn't the Grinch. She tried to explain that it's just a cartoon version, but I wasn't having it and asked her to turn it off, and ended up crying because it wasn't the right one. I have never been able to fully watch the cartoon Grinch through. It's not my cup of tea, it never has been and never will be. The effect the Grinch had on my everyday life was huge. It affected if I would have a good day or not based off if I got to watch it. The Grinch was my everything. I loved the movie so much so that my family started to call me their little Cindy Lou Who. The time and effort put into the sets and makeup is amazing, and it's truly astounding and will forever remain one of my favorite movies of all time. Thank you.